Are you looking for more out of your life? Do you need ideas on how to start new businesses and how to move forward in your own personal life? Well, guess what? You have come to the right radio show. At You Can Overcome Anything podcast show, you will learn and hear from many people from all walks of life who are sharing their challenges, their stories, the habits, and the mind shifts they had to overcome to become who they are today. On top, you will get a chance to connect and see how you can overcome anything by networking and learning about your next move through this radio show. I present to you our great speakers at You Can Overcome Anything podcast show with your host, CesarRespino. Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. It is your host, Cesar Espino, and today I have a special guest. He is a renowned small business marketing expert and the founder of Progreda. With a proven track record, he specializes in assisting small businesses in effectively marketing their high-tech service through webinars that have attracted over 9,500 entrepreneurs. Andy Sauce has achieved a seven-figure run rate, and his guidance has empowered thousands of small businesses to create marketing campaigns that have collectively generated over 20 million in revenue. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Andy Audate. Hey, Andy, how are you?
Caesar, it's a pleasure, man. I'm excited to be here with you, my friend.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm super excited here to be here with you and learn more about you and the things you have going on. So why don't we start by telling us a little bit more about your upbringing? Where are you originally from and how was that for you?
So, as far as business, I started my first business in the East Coast, and that's where I'm from. I'm from the smallest state of the country, Rhode Island, and I was raised in the smallest city in that state. Literally 1 square mile, Caesar, from one end to the other.
Yeah.
And and I built my first business at 19 years old. Someone believed in me and said, Andy, I believe in you so much that I suggest that you become a small business owner. And I looked at him. I said, dude, I can't be a business owner. I'm a college dropout. I'm black. I'm overweight. I'm 19 at the time. I can't be successful. But sometimes you got to take on someone else's belief. So I took on his belief, started my first business, which was a T-Mobile franchise. I'm the youngest T-Mobile franchise ever at 19 years old. And I built my first $1 million business after opening 4 locations with them uh, by my 21st birthday. And then that's when I moved to LA, where you are.
Yeah. So that's awesome. And I want to really, I really want to take it back. Tell me about your upbringing because actually at 19 years old, for you to say, you know what, somebody took a leap on you and believed in you. And you're right. Sometimes uh, some persons believe in you is what's going to get you to the next level, right? As long as you can kind of trust them. And so that's huge, being able to accomplish that at the age of 19. What drove that though? How was your upbringing? How was that for you to say, you know what, this is the route that I want to take? You say you were a college dropout and all that stuff. So let's talk about growing up. How was that?
So growing up, my family gave me just enough to just survive. We lived off surviving off food and just enough money just to get by. And around, teenage years, I wanted to be part of the cool kids. I wanted to go buy sneakers and clothes and get the latest gadgets, the latest cell phone, and so on and so forth. My family couldn't afford it. So I started a business. And my first business that I recall around that time is I started a lemonade stand. And I would
Mm,
just wait for people to drive by, and I would just get the lemonade out of my mom's fridge and just sell it on the street, and turn a dollar lemonade into 30
yeah.
bucks because I sold enough lemonades. And then I would just keep on hustling. And my second hustle was I owned a landscaping business where I would shovel people's snow. I'm from the East Coast, so there's a lot of
Yep.
snow there on the
Yep.
winter. And then I would rake people's lawn, just get enough money to get some money for sneakers. So once I got enough money for sneakers, I would go ahead and buy those sneakers and resell those sneakers. And I remember even at this age, being a teenager that was able to drive. So this is 16 years old. I'm now going to the mall with my friends, and I'm saying, "Hey guys, the latest Jordans come out. It's $160 per. I'm gonna bring 10 of my friends in my mom's minivan, and I'll give you all 160 bucks. So that's $1,600 out of my pocket. I'll give you an additional $20 for helping me out to go buy the sneakers." And because back then you couldn't wait, I couldn't go and buy 10 sneakers at the time. When the latest drop came out, it was one per person. So I would bring
Mhm.
in 10 people and we would all go to the mall and I would enroll all of them into my idea of like, "Hey, I'll give you $20 just to come help me buy these sneakers." And then within 4 or 5 days, I would sell all those sneakers for 200, 300, $400. So now my $1,600 investment became $3,000, $4,000, and I would just continually re-up that money. And then I got into a legitimate business. When I say legitimate, I'm talking about having a properly structured business with merchant processing and LLC, so on and so forth. And so that was my journey. I was always a young guy who was
So you were
moving and
hungry.
grooving. I was definitely hungry for sure.
It was like Les Brown talks about this, and I love Les Brown. He says you got to be hungry, right? And you were hungry to be able to make a difference in your own life. And as you mentioned, this is one thing that I like about talking to people in my podcast is that again, it's good to know about all of the different things that you're doing, and we're definitely gonna dive into that. Except I think it's more critical to understand where you came from and what were some of the challenges that you encountered through your journey, because that's really what's gonna make you right. People want to understand, at least from my perspective, and the people that I talk to, they want to be able to understand what was that journey, what were the hurdles, what were the challenges, what were the things that you had to overcome to be the person you are now. And so for you, for what I'm understanding and hearing is that you are hungry and you wanted to be able to have more than what your mom or dad or your family could provide at that moment. And you figured out how to do that by creating small tweaks here and there in the system that really helped you in many different ways.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I think there's a foundational framework that I've followed over the years that has created success for me. The first foundational principle is that the opportunity is in the show up. You just mentioned one of my mentors, Les Brown,
Mhm.
and I traveled around the country with Les Brown. My job was to fill up his seminar rooms before he would go and speak. So I would fly out to, for example, Miami, and I would be there 4 weeks in advance. And my job is to go sell tickets to promote Les Brown's seminar. And then when he comes up, let's say that his event is February 1st, I would fly in January 1st. I would promote the event, fill in a couple hundred people in the room, and then on February 1st, he will fly into the city, do his speaking engagement. I'll be in the back of the room, see my work unfold, and then I would go to the next city, Houston, Dallas, whatever the
Mhm.
city that I was at. And the way that I got that opportunity is when I was in my young days hustling and selling sneakers and selling whatever I could sell, lemonade back then. I was listening to Les Brown in my ear,
Mhm.
and there was an opportunity for me to learn from Les Brown where I invested into his online course. And from that investment into his online course, there was an opportunity for me to go in person to go to his office. Now, when I say the opportunity, I think we're all presented opportunities at any given stage.
Mhm.
Hey, why don't you come meet me at my office? That's an opportunity presented to you. If you see a Facebook ad that says, hey, Caesar's hosting an event, that's an opportunity, right? To come see him speak and be a part of his journey, right? So taking advantage of an opportunity is by showing up. And
Mhm.
so I showed up one day to his office and he looked at me and said, young man, you look like me when I was younger. He touched my face. And next thing you know, I'm on tour with him traveling around the country. So the first principle is that the opportunity is in the show up. The second principle is that fear is a direction, meaning that amongst your journey, there's going to be some times and there's going to be some moments where you're going to feel a sense of nervousness. You're going to feel a sense of fear. You're going to feel a sense of, I don't know, or doubt. And that doubt, that fear is the direction. And so if you understand that butterfly feeling that you get when you got to go talk to a girl or call a client, I mean, there's been moments where I've texted people late at night and or call customers late at night and it's like 11 o'clock and I'm like, I'm nervous, I'm scared. And then I do it anyway. Next thing you know, that person responds and does a deal with me. Fear is the direction. And the third thing is by any means, whatever it takes, bandwidth. Meaning
Mhm.
now you understand that you got to keep showing up to get opportunities. The opportunities going to show up. Number two, you understand that fear is a direction. Then there comes a time like you're in the process of doing it and something just does not work. It's just not working the way that you want it to. So by any means, whatever it takes means that whatever the circumstance that happens in front of you, by any means, you're going to do whatever it takes.
I love that. I
Those
love
three
that.
those three principles has guided me in my life since I don't know, since I can walk to now.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's awesome. And you know, one of the things that I like to point out, which I love that first principle, and it's that showing up for that opportunity. And I think oftentimes, and you said it, you know, opportunities come in many different shapes, and the challenge is that sometimes people are looking for opportunities that are very nice and shiny and they're glowing, right? Except an opportunity can be disguised ugly and just, it's not attractive sometimes, right? Whether it's, getting the work done, whether it's working, after, if you have a 9 to 5, coming home, not sitting on the couch, and being able to do the things you have to do for your business or whatever that might be, right? And so a lot of times,
Right.
because of that, the fact that it's not disguised in a very attractive way or in a shiny object, then we tend to forget and we tend to allow those opportunities to pass by from us, right? And we don't take the action, as you mentioned, to be able to do that. And so I definitely love those three principles. So let's talk about, you had your
Real quick, my buddy says, why are people poor? And the reason people are poor is because poor is actually an acronym. POOR, passing over opportunities repeatedly. So if you
Mm.
want to get rich, you got to take the opportunity and show up.
Oh
But back
man, I
to you,
love that.
Caesar.
No, that's actually a good one. I love that, and I'm gonna be making sure that I share that on the comments when we have this out. So you somebody took a leap on you, right? And somebody said, somebody had to believe. You didn't believe in yourself, so somebody had to believe. I think, as a matter of fact, I believe Les Brown talks about it in one of his talks, and he said sometimes somebody else has to believe in you to be able to take that action. And I think that's exactly what happened with him too. And so somebody believed in you. You decided to then jump in and got your first T-Mobile franchisee, and then you kind of grew that. Um, when you got out of that, what was the next move for you? Because obviously you're doing a lot of things now in your business.
So if I were to do it in an overview, a 19, and so this is a 10-year sprint that I did in the last 10 years. So the last
Mhm.
3,650 days. So at 19, someone said to me, which was a coworker of mine from high school, we're the same age and we're leaving the gym, and he says, Andy, you work at a cell phone store. So I used to work at a cell phone store called Metro PCS.
Mhm.
And when I was working there, I was a like 17, 18, I was a manager, man. My sales were so high because my hunger and my desire to be successful I was so driven that the leaders ultimately said, hey, man, why don't you manage the staff and help the store? So in this specific franchise, they had 10 locations with Metro PCS at the time. Today they have over 150, but back then they had 10 locations. And in the 10 locations, they gave me one of the shittiest stores. Like this was number nine, I think, not number nine. And
Mhm.
number 10 was like you there was no business at that store. You help that. I believe it closed down. So I was the last ranking store in this entire franchise. And by the time that I left that company, I was number two. I was the number two location. So it was ran. Now, mind you, my coworkers, the people I
Mhm.
work with, I'm 19 years old. Many of them are in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. And this young guy, 19 years old, comes in and builds up the store. And essentially, to make that work, man, I had to fire people, I had to replace people, I had to train people, hire new people, all at a young age, which gave me the skill set. Okay. And I took that skill set and I said, my buddy of mine said to me when we were leaving the gym one day, he said, you're doing all of this for someone else. Why don't you do it for yourself? And open up your own location. That's when I told to him, dude, I'm black, I'm overweight, I'm
Mhm.
a college dropout. I barely know how to do math. I couldn't pass a math class. That's why I had to go drop out of college. I chose to drop out of college. I couldn't pass a math class. I said, there's no way I could be successful. And he looked at me and said, I believe in you that you can, and I'll do it with you. So
Mhm.
he ended up leaving his job and came work with me. So we opened up the first location and it was at a mall kiosk. And my job was to essentially start getting customers. The first couple of months, I barely made enough. I didn't understand the difference between being an employee of a cell phone store and owning a business. It's a totally different game, owning a cell phone store versus working. So many people who start running a business, who start doing well in their job, they tend to leave thinking it's the same thing. And I was one of those. So I
Mhm.
left working at a cell phone store thinking that I'll just do everything that I was doing, not realizing that the owner of my last job was me as a salesperson. I was just one element of a full-on marketing system, right? From advertisements on how they got customers in to the special offer that they did. Me as a salesperson, I was just one person. I was just one little portion of it. Now, to be the business owner, I had to essentially recreate that model and recreate the model. So I went back to my old boss and I said, "Hey, will you mentor me?" So I got his mentorship and guidance. That's how I grew that business. And so 4 stores later, we opened up 4 stores, one of them in the most prominent malls in Rhode Island. My
Mhm.
rent itself was $16,000 a location. And I couldn't even drink alcohol. I'm over here paying $16,000 in rent in one location. I got four of them, and I couldn't even drink alcohol, but it worked. And because every time that I had an opportunity to grow and expand, I was scared, I was nervous, I was fearful, I was frightened. So I did it anyway. Remember, fear is a direction. So I built that business. December 31st, 2014, I wrote down my goal, which was I want to make $1 million. And then, so December 31st, 2015, a year later, look at the bank account, I hit my target, made $1 million. And being where I'm from, the smallest state in the country, smallest city in that state, 1 square mile, full of drug dealers, gangbangers, and violence, I realized that if I'm making this type of money, I want to leave. I want to go somewhere that my wildest dreams could take me. And my wildest dreams at the time was Los Angeles.
Yep.
So I got on a flight, closed down the business, moved over to LA, moved to downtown Los Angeles, right by the Staples Center. Today's the crypto arena.
Crypto arena, yeah.
And started a speaking business where I started motivational speaking, and that's where I got in touch with Les Brown and speaking around the country and so forth.
Got you. So and now obviously that's that journey and being able to do that. What was that? I mean, besides the fact that you were hungry, and even looking at what you're doing now and doing the motivational speaking and the things you're doing right now, what was that one thing that was driving you? Because I mean, I'm sure that you had your ups and downs. It wasn't all nice and shiny. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. Yet, what was that one thing that kind of kept you going and moving?
Uh, the one thing, the one thing that kept me going, man, was the Holy Spirit, brother. If I'm honest with you, the one thing that kept me going was the Holy Spirit. I felt guided throughout this entire journey. I felt like it was very clear that my job is to make an impact on this world, and business is going to be the vehicle. Business, and that's proven to be true over the years. So when I opened up the cell phone store, the challenges that I had to overcome in running a cell phone store, especially at that age, I had competitors in the space. I had people who wanted to take me out of business, right? Who were in business much longer than me, and so on and so forth. So I had to fight. I had to do certain marketing campaigns to make sure that my business was thriving. The reason that I did it in the first place, Cesar, was because I believed in my heart that my business was going to be a filter for the block. What I mean by that is that people who were coming from an impoverished area like myself, they were going to work in my company and learn skill sets of how to communicate effectively, how to generate income, and how to change their mindset with systems. And one of the things that I did is everyone listened to motivational speakers before their shift. That's a mandatory. Like, my staff knew who Les Brown was, who Eric Thomas was, and some of the big motivational speakers. They knew Tony Robbins. They knew the motivational speakers, because my thought process was, we're going to use this business as a vehicle for me to capture people's attention and give them a place to work to make money. But while they're working, they're learning skill sets, and I'm educating them on motivational content, which is going to change their mindset. Which, if I get this company big enough in my hood, in my area, and I get enough people to come in and work for me and leave, within 5 years, man, and within 10 years, I'll have enough people that are going to be a change agent for my entire environment. That was the idea that I had. Okay.
Yeah.
Until towards the end of my that career, where I realized one of my employees, I said to him, I said, "Hey, it seems like the people don't want to change and progress." Mind you, Cesar, the name of my company was Progression Wireless. So it was Progression Wireless doing business as a T-Mobile brand. So, but my company name was Progression Wireless. And the reason I called it Progression, because I wanted to help people progress. And I remember I went to my employee one day and I said, it seems like people don't want to progress. And he's like, would you believe me if I told you, Andy, like, all this motivational stuff that you're trying to do and change that you're trying to make, that some people are just here for a paycheck? I said, what do you mean? Like, I was literally dumbfounded. What do you mean they're here for a paycheck? We're here to change our lives and progress. And there were a group of people that adopted that idea, and there were a group of people that didn't. And I was so inundated with this basic information, but it ended up being true that some people literally just applied to my job, to my company, to work, and it didn't hit home. And that's when I changed my mission, and that's when I started motivational speaking. So I share that with you because what pushed me to keep going was this mission that I was driven by, rather than the money. Same thing like I do with my business today. My software company is called Progreda, which is two words together: progress daily, right? So I share that with you is because I'm driven by mission and not by the money.
Yeah, and that's actually a good point. And I remember when I left my 9 to 5, like many people do when they dive into becoming an entrepreneur. I believe many people do that. Is that they're chasing that shiny object, or they're chasing that money, right? And I believe that, while that's all good and dandy, if you're only chasing that, it'll come to an end sooner than later, right? And so, believe now, my belief is that, very similar to what you just mentioned, based on your mission, I believe that you have to be, if you're working for profits, you're doing it wrong. You got to be working for purpose, and the profits will come, right?
For
And what I
sure.
mean by that is, when we're working for something bigger than just that, because you see it, there's a lot of people that have a lot of money, yet they're miserable, or sometimes, worst case scenario, they get into drugs, and before you know it, they take their lives, whatever that case may be, because there's a sense of being lonely, or a sense of emptiness, right? The money is not all. It is a good vehicle, and it's going to help you. Except, I believe, though, that you got to be working for purpose. What is that purpose? And we all have a different purpose, right? My purpose here, at least, and through my podcast and things that I do, is that I want to be able to empower, motivate, and inspire other people to achieve anything that they can, right? Through whatever it is that I'm doing, whether it's my books, my public speaking, or even this podcast. And so, again, we all have to have that purpose. And once you can define that purpose, and you're working on your true purpose, I do believe the profits will come, right? And I believe that that's huge for anyone that might be listening to this or watching this right now. That, again, at the end of the day, that's probably going to be one of the best things that you can take away to make sure that you are making it, in whatever field you're working on, or whatever it is that you're trying to do.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree, my friend. And if you are clear on your purpose, then you'll be able to get clear on what your profit's going to be.
Yeah. So let's talk about your company, Progreda, right? How did that come about? Obviously, you kind of mentioned it. How long have you been in business, and what is it that you do right now? What are your type of customers you're helping?
So when I was speaking around the country, so running a cell phone business, make a boatload of money, uh, and I took that money and then I reinvested it back into my business, my brand. What I saw was people were online making moves online. I wanted to be a part of that. And my passion itself was speaking to people. When I was with my staff, I was the speaker. I was motivating and inspiring and empowering people. But I never had a I never became a public figure. So when I got in touch with the motivational speakers of the world and I started seeing how the money was made, I realized that speaking was actually a marketing tool. To speak in front of people is a way to market your message, market your vision, market your idea. And so I would be filling up these seminars and I'm bringing these big motivational speakers or these big speakers in general. And at the end of their presentation, they end up selling a product or a service. And then I'm like, oh, so you just spoke in front of 75 people or 150 people. And out of the 150 people, you just got 25 of them to give you $2,000 and you just made $50,000 in that one moment. I'm like, oh, hold on. That's where the business is made. That's how the business is operating. So after doing that for years, between 2016, 2017, 18, 19, for years, I was doing that where I would see, I've done over 300 events where I
Mhm.
would see some of the biggest speakers. I've done events, I've promoted people's events like Grant Cardone, Tony Robbins came to one of my seminars in Los Angeles, Les Brown. So I would bring in these speakers and I would see their back end system. And I would realize that speaking not only does it empower and motivate and inspire people, but it also creates an avenue for a business to get connected to their customer right away. So in my business model, I created a opportunity for people who had different products to speak on my stages, and I would connect them with their customers. And by doing that for so long, I created the different processes on how to get people who does not know who Andy Audate is, does not know who my speakers were on their stage, and have them know who my speakers are, know who Andy Audate is, like us, trust us, and decide to attend an in-person event. And I think that's the hardest thing to sell because not only are you taking or are people paying for this, but you're also having them spend their time away from their family. So you have to really get people inspired to take action and give up their not only just their money but their time. That's an amazing way to market. So in marketing seminars and events, it taught me, if you look at some of the biggest brands, let me just use a name here that some people may know. Grant Cardone, he's a billionaire and
Mhm.
he has over 12,000 real estate properties. And that's one of the ways that he became a billionaire. But the foundation that he had in marketing his business before, when in his late 20s, he was marketing seminars because you had to get people to commit to a specific time and a specific money, which is very hard and very challenging to do. So in that marketing process, I use different technologies where I would bring in different softwares, text message softwares, email marketing softwares, marketing campaign softwares, website softwares, phone calling softwares, and I would connect them all. I would have to figure, it took me 4 years to figure it all out on how to connect all of these softwares and create it in a way that allowed me to generate revenue. And then, so I did it just for my business. Then, after speaking to enough business owners, they were like, hey, I don't just want to come to your events. I want to have the way that you got me to your event is what I'm interested in. I'm interested. Like, I didn't know who you were 2 weeks ago, and I realized I just paid money to come to your event, and I took time away from my family, and I like that. I want to do that. I want to help my people see the value that I have. So we developed the software. We partnered with a development company in Oregon, and we developed a software called Progreda, where what Progreda does, it helps you connect you to your leads, capture their information, nurture the relationship with them, and close more deals, all automated. So rather than having a sales team of 15 people with one software subscription that is only a couple $100, you can streamline and automatically set up sales appointments on your calendar, book more appointments on your calendar, and close more deals, all automated without you having to do all the work, because automation and AI does all the work for you.
Okay. Wow, that's huge. That's definitely huge. The things you've been able to put together. So right now, what kind of clients are you working with?
So some of the clients that I'm working with is some of the some I work with some big speakers, some people who have millions of followers on social media. And the way that they use our software is, if you ever scroll on Instagram or Facebook and you see a big brand that says, hey, text me or message me this word book to get my new book that I just launched, or text me this word ebook to get my new ebook, or text me the word video, or message me the word webinar to come to my webinar. And once you message them, there you capture our software will then capture your name, email, and phone number, and have an automatic conversation with you to capture your information and put you through a nurture sequence and give you that specific information, like the ebook, give you access to the ebook, or
Mhm.
give you direct access to the video. 9 out of 10 times they're using our software.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. If people want to find out more about you, in terms of where they connect with you or learn more about your company, where can they find you?
So I actually host, for the year of 2024, I'm hosting a webinar every single day. I just got done doing one. I'm going to be going to do a second one. I do two a day every single day. So if you go to progreda.com/demo, PROGREDA.com/demo. And by the way, Progreda stands for Progress Daily, just without the SS, and then
Mhm.
Progress without the ILY and daily. So progreda.com/demo. I'll actually show you a live demonstration on how to use this software and how it could work for you and your business.
All right, awesome. So one of the things they talked about, and I'm very intrigued. Obviously, you've done a lot of motivational speaking. One of the things you talked about was the mindset. When you were trying to get your employees to get to that mindset, obviously, some people might want that help. Some people may not want that help. The biggest thing is, I do believe that you got to work on your mindset. What are the things that you do to work on your mindset to help you keep going on a day-to-day basis?
One of the things that I pray every single day. I'm always in a relationship with God. That's my go-to. and and I believe that for me has been directing me and guiding me in every single day. I just saw a post on social media that talked about this journey of a man uh who understood that the power of success is when you're able to hear God's voice and take his direction. If you're looking to be
Mm,
successful in today's world, there's so much noise out here. You go on Instagram, you can do crypto, you can do drop shipping, you could do speaking,
mm,
you could do this, that, that. You could be a coach, you could be a coaches of coaches. There's 150 things you could do to just today that just came out today. But if you're able to listen to his voice and hear his voice, you'll be able to identify what's specifically for you and what the opportunity that's going to help you win. So what helps me in my mindset is just slowing down for that one moment, just to hear God's voice and say, all right, make this move now, make that move. It's kind of like the GPS for your life. If you never focus, if you're on a highway and you put in your GPS coordinates on your Google Maps and you turn on the voice feature, and you just focus on the highway. If the voice of GPS like Siri tells you take this exit now, and you're just like so bogged down in your mess that you just keep on driving straight, you end up missing your exit. Then what's going to happen is going to reroute, and if you're not listening, you're going to keep driving. You end up missing your next exit, and if you're not listening again, it's going to reroute. The GPS is going to reroute, but then guess what happens? If you're still not listening, you're going to end up missing your exit. So when I think about life, I look at it like that, man. And for me, man, God has been the direction. Now, from a tactical approach, there's a few different things. Number one is I work out every day. So wake up in the morning. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning. Hey, I pray, set up my bag, kiss my wife, and I'm in the gym. I'm in the gym by 5:30, and I'm stretching in the morning. And when I'm stretching in the morning, I'm doing a deep stretch, and I'm listening to content that's going to help me push through the day and create success. I do a 2-hour workout with the coach, and then I'm back. I'm in the gym. So my day, by the time that I get out of the gym, 8 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, by the time that I get out of the gym, I already did more than most people have done the entire week. I worked
Mhm.
out for 2 hours, where some people are going to the gym for 20 minutes, right? So I did more than most people do. The third thing that I'll do is I'll listen to podcasts and ebooks and content that allows my mind to be stimulated, right? So now, in addition to my business, me and my wife are looking at investing into real estate and different avenues, because why? We have the additional revenue and the additional income that we're like, hey, we'll just dish it out. So my wife is like, hey, how do we create 5 streams of income?
Mhm.
What am I gonna do? I'm gonna go listen to some books and say, hey, how do we create additional streams? We have multiple streams. Just my one company, Progreda in itself, has over 7 streams of income. But we're like, hey, how do we expand our portfolio of different businesses and projects? And it starts with the content that we listen to. So I listen to podcasts, ebooks. So if you're listening to this podcast, you already made the first right decision by listening to this episode on
Yeah.
Caesar's podcast.
Yeah. No, definitely, I love that. And I think it was I forget if it was Jim Rohn that talked about it, or maybe it was Les Brown. I forget. Now, I listen to a lot of people, and I kind of mix them up.
They kind
Never
of
gonna,
put them all
yeah,
together,
you
right?
got to put them together. Except the thing that we're talking about is you have to work harder on yourself than you do on anybody else, right? And what does that mean? You got to work harder on your mind. You got to work harder on your dreams. You got to work harder. You know, a lot of people, you go and you're working on somebody else's dream. What about your own dream, right? So you definitely, I believe that everything you mentioned, and even just the idea of being able to have, whether it's God or the universe or whatever greater power, I do believe that, the people that are listening to us and watching us right now. I mean, if you're watching this right now, you have to believe that God or the universe or that greater power is not done with you, and there's so many things for you that you need to accomplish. Therefore, you're still here listening to that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be waking up, right? And so, I do believe that there's a lot of that, a lot of those components that can help us in being able to say, okay, what is going to be my next move? And there's so much for us to be able to do and contribute to this world in that sense. For the people that are watching us and listening to us, you're already giving us a lot of great tips. Let's see if I can get one more out of you. For the people that are listening to us and watching us, what is one thing you can say to them that they can, if they're going through any challenge, whatever challenge that might be, what is one thing you can say to them that they can start doing right now to start overcoming that challenge?
So if you're going through a challenge right now and you want to overcome a challenge, it could be a challenge with money, it could be a challenge with family, it could be a challenge with relationships, it could be a challenge with mindset, whatever that may be. Get around a different social circle. I wrote
Mm,
a book called No More Average. And here's what I mean by no more average. One of the people that you listen to that is very popular, right, would say you're the average sum of the 5 people you spend your time with.
yep.
And if you understand that you're the average sum of the 5 people that you spend your time with, then in order for you to elevate, you just have to change your social circle. Everything will change.
Mhm.
Change your social circle, everything will change. So here's what I mean by that. You hear me? I'm talking about. I hear you might hear me and say that. First of all, Andy's young. He's spending time with some of the biggest speakers, but he tells me that he's from a hood. He's from a hood with drug dealers, gangbangers, and violence, and he was just a college dropout. How is he in the world? Is he building these successful businesses with 7-figure run rates? That means my business generates over $1 million. And
Mhm.
how is he able to create such a level of success? And what is that thing that created that for him? In these podcasts, you're going to hear all these different strategies, techniques, and it's all attractive. But the common denominator with anyone that's successful is the people that they spend their time with. So when I wrote this book, No More Average, it means that because we understand that you're the average sum of the 5 people that you spend time with, If you want to elevate your income, your life, your family, your relationships, you have to change your people that you spend their time with. And therefore, your average actually just starts to change. So, no more average from where you begin. Your average just starts to change and you become hanging around with great people. So, meaning, let's put some metrics on it. If you are making 5 figures a year, you're making 75,000, 50,000. I'm just going to use numbers for now just to make it a
Mhm.
lot easier on the audience to understand. But let's just say from a metric standpoint, you're making 5 figures, $50,000 a year, $35,000 a year, $75,000 a year, whatever. If you want to take it up to the next level, go spend some time with some 6 figure earners. Here's what you're going to start seeing. You're going to start seeing a total value on time. Someone who makes 5 figures doesn't value their time. They schedule a meeting for an hour and then ends up going through an hour and 30 minutes. Whatever. 2 hours, someone's late. It's okay. Someone's late. 6 figure earners start valuing their time, right? So you're going to start seeing a value on just some of the basics, just the value of your time. Now, high 6 figures. So let's say you're making 100 grand. You now understand the value of your time. High 6 figures are going to understand the value of delegation.
Mm.
So if you go from 5 figures and you make high 6 figures, you start hanging around with some people who make high 6 figures. If you're used to making $50,000 a year and you don't value your time per se, and you start hanging around with somebody who's making $700,000 a year, $900,000 a year, you're gonna see that they delegate everything. You start hanging out with a person who's making $700,000 a year. Ask them if they do their laundry. They're gonna tell you
Right.
no. I don't do
Yeah.
my laundry. Or ask them if they wash their own car. They're gonna be like, no, I don't wash my car. You know, they at that stage they have assistants for their assistants. Everything is delegated, right? You get around some 7 figure entrepreneurs, then you're gonna understand how almost everything is automated. They start automating things. If the things are just automatically done, I was with one of my mentors. We were at the gym, and I see his business. His business is worth $52 million. And as soon as he comes out the gym, the way that his life was structured, as soon as he comes out the gym, he's at the gym to the right. When you're at the right, he takes a right, not driving, just walks. We're in a plaza in the gym. Takes a right. He was right in the barbershop. So every Friday, automatically that's scheduled is the payment to this individual to cut his hair. So he walks right into the barbershop, cuts his hair. So most people, if you're making 5 figures, you wait till your hair grows and then you call the barbershop. And then you call the barber. You're like, oh, I got to panic because my hair is growing. Can you get me in today? Can you get me in tomorrow? A multi 7 figure entrepreneur, $50 million man, it's automatic. I don't even want to spend the time to pay you. It's all automatic. We'll pay you all automated. So your level of thinking starts to change. So if you're in a rut right now, if you got a challenge, if you got an issue, if you got a problem that you're trying to solve, the best way to do it is not even Googling or searching on YouTube just the solution. Find new people to spend time with. Once you find new people to spend time with, your problems will automatically be absolved because your mind starts to think differently. You start to process things differently and watch your life go ahead and change.
Yeah, I definitely love them, man. No, that's huge, and I love the idea of one of my mentors calls them MWAs. You want to eliminate as many MWAs, minimum wage activities, right? If when people that are playing at different levels, like you're not doing something that's going to cost you, a lot of money in terms of a minimum wage. You're spending your time wisely, right? And your energy. Um, Definitely, Andy. I really enjoyed this conversation with you. So thank you again for being able to share that with you. Anything else you want to say before I let you go?
I got an example that I would like to share. I mean, if you're open
Hmm?
to it, I have an
Yeah.
example of what I mean by that. So in a business, I remember seeing in my journey, I used to sell different services that were on the higher ticket side. So I had a high ticket service in my marketing agency. So I own multiple companies. One of them is Audate Media, which is my marketing agency. And as I was growing my software company, I was still taking on customers who were on the high ticket marketing agency. So meaning you would spend like, for example, $50,000 or 40,000 or $30,000 with me. And that $30,000 will create your website, some marketing campaigns, so on and so forth for you. And I remember spending some time with a gentleman who just runs is a software entrepreneur just like myself, but he's way farther ahead. And we're in a mastermind in Texas, and I'm with him, and he tells me, Andy, you don't want to spend time getting deals at $30,000. You just want to get people at $197 a month, $297 a month. Now, I said to the guy, I said, do you not know how to do math, man? Why would I get a customer that's paying me $297 a month when I could just go get a customer to pay me $40,000 upfront? If we do the math, $297 a month divided by 40,000 or $40,000 divided by 297 rather, it would take me 134 months to make that money from one customer. So just to recap, if you're not the business oriented person, if I were to go and find a person in my business to pay me $297 a month, in order for me to generate $40,000 from that one potential customer, it would take me 134 months, which is 11 years to make $40,000. So it would take me 11 years to make that amount of money. My thought process at the time, this was many years ago, but my thought process at the time was, why don't I just go get the 40,000 up front? And then I'll be cool. I'll be relaxed. Here's what I learned. You want to have something that's scalable and you can automate. All the things that I share with you in this podcast. Something that can scale, which is something that you can delegate to other people and you can automate. So for example, in software, you can automate new customers. You can automate the new subscriptions. However, inside of a marketing agency, if someone's paying you $30,000, they want your attention. They paid you a lot of money. They want your attention. So how many times for the listeners here, have you purchased a subscription you never talked to the CEO, for example? Your cell phone. You go to Verizon, you don't talk to the CEO of Verizon. You just pay your bill, whatever it is, $100 a month, $200 a month. So I'm spending time with him and I'm learning that why the pursuit of the high ticket is actually not valuable for a long-term sustainable business. So if me selling something for $30,000, I had to be the CEO and I had to actually work with the customer, then that negatively impacts my ability to scale my business because I'm limited on time. Compared to, let's just use a software subscription, it's unlimited scalability. I can sell 2,000 subscriptions today and it's all automated. So I share that with your listener. If you are someone who's business oriented, the fact that I got around this right table shifted the growth of my business, which now just 2 weeks ago, for example, something that was important to me was travel. Just 2 weeks ago, I was in the Philippines. I spent a week in the Philippines, in Manila, Philippines. We traveled all around. I did a charity there, ate amazing food, spent time with my staff, and income was coming in. I come back to Las Vegas, spend time with my wife, and then me and my wife just said, hey, we're going to California, spend some time with our family in California. So I'm able to travel all around the world. A couple of weeks, I'll be in San Diego. I'm able to travel all around the world, and my business is still generating income. When I did the deals at $30,000 and $30,000 high ticket deals, I was stuck to my computer working. So I share that with you this. If you're someone who's in business, when I changed my social circle, my mindset started to change. And then I started to learn, okay, this is how you acquire subscribers and this is how you help them in their business, which ultimately changed my income, which ultimately gave me the freedom that I was looking for. So I share that with you because if you're in a rut where you don't feel free, you feel like you're stuck, you feel like, man, things are just not working. It's not about going to YouTube and going to search the solution. Find someone who you can identify with, get behind that individual, work with that individual, and to change your social circle, and all your problems will start vanishing. Change your social circle. So no more average book is where you can, no more average book.com is where you can get the book. That's no more average book.com, because not being average is really just changing your social environment. So that way you can elevate your income, your lifestyle, your relationships, and so on and so forth. So that way you can experience the freedom that you want, my friend.
I love that. Well, Andy, thank you again for all of that information and for all that those golden nuggets. Really appreciate it. So thank you for being on the show. And for the rest of you guys, do me a favor. Please make sure that you share this message with somebody else because somebody definitely needs to hear this. And I'll see you guys at the next episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cesar.
Hi, I'm CesarRespino, real estate investor, business coach, and consultant, and author of the book, You Can Overcome Anything Even When the World Says No. My number is 424-501-6046. In my book, I talk about making the necessary changes to shift your mind for prosperity and certainty. Pick up your copy at Amazon. I also love helping families with their real estate and can purchase your house fast and all cash. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. My number is 424-501-6046.
Thank you for having me today. I am so glad you've tuned into this podcast. You can find me at your favorite podcast platform where you can like, subscribe, comment, and share. And to learn more about myself, my services, you can find me at www.CesarRespino.com, or you can also find me at your social media. Thanks for joining me, and I am looking forward to having you at the next episode. And know you truly can overcome anything.